Hi folks, my name is Johnny Vinciun and I founded the Global Beer Network. I want to present you the Bruegel Ale. The Bruegel is a middle-of-the-road, easy-drinking amber ale. When I say amber, I mean not too pale, not too dark, somewhere in between. Up to 200 years ago, the color of the beer was simply not important because the drinkers didn't see the color. They drank out of wooden, metal or stone vessels. Also, for the brewer, it was simply impossible to define the color of the beer because the technology was not invented. I said easy drinking. Yeah, this beer is only 5.2% alcohol. Well, that's still 25% more than a common commercial American beer or even an import like Guinness. These beers are something around 4% alcohol by volume. What is the best way to taste a nice beer? You take a first sip and you swallow it. You take a second sip and you keep the beer a few seconds in your mouth. You let your tongue swim in it and then you let the liquid drain into your throat. Ah, the aftertaste. I mentioned ale. The Bruegel is an ale. What is an ale? Well, there are only 3 different ways to ferment a beer. The first one was discovered by women about 30,000 years ago, but that's another sexy story I'll tell you another time. Let me just say, wild yeasts were involved. Now the second technique happened about 9,000 years ago in the Middle East. People domesticated the wild yeasts. They took the yeast from the first batch and the second and the third, fourth, etc., etc. Since yeast is a living things evolves, the yeast evolved into a domesticated yeast. These yeast ferment at warm temperatures, about 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and the violent action of the fermentation happens on top of the vessel. So we call these beers top fermenting beers equal ales. About 200 years ago, they discovered the third technique in the Bavarian Alps when they found yeast that ferment at cold temperatures. Yes, almost freezing temperatures. And the violent action happens on the bottom of the vessel. So these beers are called bottom fermenting beers equals lagers. The most famous lager is the Pilsner, this golden pale 4-5% alcohol beer. 90% of all commercial beer brewed all over the world traces its roots back to this Pilsner lager. But here we deal with the ale. The Bruegel is an ale and all 6 beers of the Van Steenberg sample pack are ales.